Hey, Kate Anderson, running for school board, LAUSD District 4.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for being here. My name is Kate Anderson, and I am running for school board because LAUSD used to provide a world-class education to our kids. We used to have a system where every single family in this district felt great about sending their kid to their local public school. That is not the case now, but it is absolutely possible for that to be the case again. And I've got the strength, skills, experience, and most importantly, the motivation to do that. I've got the political experience, as almost all of you in this room know, if not most of you in this room know. I worked for Congressman Henry Waxman after being the student body president at UCLA. And I learned at the feet of one of this nation's best members of Congress that government can be a force for good. And I learned how to do that. You know, it takes a set of skills and experience in terms of understanding how to bring people together across an aisle, and I learned from Congressman Waxman how to do that. I worked for him both before law school and after law school. After law school, it was on his Government Reform and Oversight Committee, so I learned those oversight skills. I've got the business experience. I worked for a law firm downtown, and after I had these twin daughters of mine, convinced that law firm to open the first child care center sponsored by a law firm west of the Mississippi. I've got the community experience. I have raised my right hand and taken a number of oaths in this office as the president of the neighborhood association here and on our Mar Vista Community Council, so I know how to work with community. I've got the policy experience. For the last year and a half, I've been the Los Angeles Director for Children Now, a statewide nonprofit child advocacy organization that works on early education, healthcare, and K-12 education, so I can hit the ground running. Most important, I've got twin daughters over at Mar Vista Elementary. They are getting a tremendous education there, but they're not getting the education that I think that they're capable of getting, and I think what this school board needs is a parent's perspective with the skills and experience that I bring from all of my diverse jobs to this school board, so that every vote I will take with my girls in mind. I will take with kids first. I look forward to your questions.
As the challenger, when your term is completed, if elected, what do you see as having been your three major accomplishments?
Fantastic question. So the 3 planks in my platform are an effective teacher in every classroom, support for innovative models and more local control, and adequately funding our education. So those will be my 3 accomplishments. We have in place, right, the current system we have for teacher evaluation is completely broken, and everybody, I think, would agree with that. We have in place now, because of the superintendent and an agreement with UTLA, a better teacher evaluation system. I don't think it's nearly as strong as it could be. We've got a system right now where all we use to determine who's in front of our kids is how long they've been in the classroom. That's not the right way to do it. I am going to push harder to make sure that we change that system so that we're taking a look at who's effective and making decisions about who's in front of my girls, in front of all the kids, based on who is effective in giving support to teachers. So the first thing is we'll have a system in place where we are better supporting our teachers and making sure that we've got an effective, or as Darby and Emmy say, my mama wants an A+ teacher in front of every kid. They're right. Second, we need to support innovative schools and more local control. Right now, as I go up and down this district talking to members of different communities, what they want is to be able to help with their schools. They want to be able to give back with their schools. I want them to be able to help. I want them to be able to give back. They know best how to run their schools. We as a bureaucracy right now do far too much. Beaudry does far too much of trying to control what happens at the local school site. I want to bring a lot more local control so the communities, parents, teachers, communities can get involved. And I want to adequately fund education. We are 49th in the nation in per pupil spending. We spend $5,200 per pupil. New York spends $18,000 per pupil. We spend 2.2% of our per capita income. The average across the country is 4.4%. So first I want to take those oversight skills that I mentioned to you, and I want to you know what, actually, I'll watch his, and then if you don't, that would be better for me. I want to take those oversight skills, and I want to dig deep into what we have, dig deep into our bureaucracy, make sure we're not wasting any money, and then I'll be honest with you, I'm going to come back and ask you to raise your taxes so we can adequately fund education.
Yeah, that's great. can the LAUSD board do to improve conditions for Los Angeles schools now that Governor Brown is proposing to shift more school funding to districts that have more English language learners and poorer students? Do you think his idea is a good one? What's it going to do for us?
Yeah, no. It's absolutely a good one. So ever since Proposition 30, what we have done is, Proposition 30, Proposition 13. What happened with Proposition 13, a lot of people know it capped our property taxes. What a lot of people don't know is it changed the way we fund education. And what happens is all of our money goes up to the state, unlike other states where education is funded more through property tax. All our money goes up to the state, and then the state sends it back down to us. But what they have done over the years is they have thought that they know better how to spend our money, and so they send it down in what's called categorical funding. So you can picture silos. There are 30 different silos where that $5,200 comes down. You can only spend certain money on certain things. Every education expert who takes a look at, every education financing expert that takes a look at that says that's crazy. And instead what you should do is you should have the money follow the student. And it's called a weighted pupil formula. And it's what the governor's proposed. So he has proposed to basically get rid of these silos and then just send down money and then recognize, okay, so let's say it takes, I'm going to just make up a number, let's say it takes $500 to educate just your traditional student. But you've got an English language learner, and we all know that an English language learner is going to cost more money to educate than somebody who has English as their first language, or somebody with special needs, or somebody who's in the foster care system. And so you give more money for those students. LAUSD has a disproportionate number of all of those students. And so what the governor is suggesting is more local control and will result in more money for us to better fund our education system. So I think it's absolutely the right move for California and absolutely the right thing for LAUSD.
Thank you. I have 3 questions on this, so I'll just break it down to how do you feel about charter schools versus regular public schools?
That's a great question because I am getting that a lot, and I think Steve is a great guy. He has done a really good job. I think that some of the things that he has said about me and my campaign aren't entirely true. He's talked about me as a privatizer, and I think that that's supposed to be code for wanting to privatize education. Let me just make it clear, I don't want to privatize education. I don't want for-profit organizations, for-profit corporations coming in and taking our schools or providing education to our schools. I do believe that nonprofit charter schools many nonprofit charter schools have provided a tremendous education to kids in the district I seek to represent and to kids throughout this district. And I support the charter schools that are supporting our kids. But, and let me say this, and I have said this to everybody that will ask me in the charter school movement as well. Charter schools are public schools getting public money, and we need to make sure that we hold them accountable. Not all of them are playing by the rules. We need to make sure that they are playing by the rules. And we need to make sure that we are holding them accountable, and we need to make sure that how they spend their money is transparent. And I'll say, actually, the same goes for our traditional public schools, too. We should know how they're spending, and we don't nearly as well as we should. There should be transparency. I, as a parent, should know where my money is going. You, as a taxpayer, as a grandparent, as a community member, should know where your taxpayers are going. That counts for traditional public schools and charter public schools. So I would be an advocate for the schools that are doing a great job, but I would want to make sure that they are playing by the rules, that we are holding them accountable, and that if they are not providing a good education to our kids, and not all charter schools are providing a good education to our kids, if they're not, we should shut them down.
So many questions and so many answers that now it's time for you to
close it.
Bring it home.
So first, I want to thank you and all of the members of the West LA Dem Club. You guys are all doing this as volunteers. I appreciate the time and the effort that you put into this. I appreciate all of you for coming out and being a part of this process. This is the democratic process at its best. This is you coming out and listening to the candidates and making a really informed decision about who you will support and who you will ask your neighbors to support. I ask for your support because I think I can be a part of bringing real change to LAUSD. There is no question that education is the civil rights issue of our generation. This is a system that is failing our kids. 64% of our kids are graduating, but when you look at some of the poorer areas, and that's not good enough, and when you look at some of the poorer, more disadvantaged areas of our system, that gets even lower. This is a system that's got to change. I stand before you in a really tough place because I am a pro-union, pro-labor, Henry Waxman Democrat that has, thank you, it doesn't have the support of the County Democratic Party right now. I don't have the support of UTLA, though I will tell you that I have the support of dozens of teachers throughout this district, because teachers want to be held accountable, teachers want to be treated like professionals, teachers want to be judged on their effectiveness. Their leadership in that union does not. And so I'm about to face $1 million in independent expenditures from UTLA. They sent out their first piece this week, supporting Steve. I expect they will send out many more pieces. Mr. Zimmer, I don't know why he hasn't raised more money, but he hasn't raised any money to send out pieces on his own. So all of the mail that you will get will be from independent expenditures. The mail that you have gotten already from me, and those of you in this audience who are permanent absentee voters have gotten 3 pieces from me already. We've got a campaign office at the corner of National and Southell. Let me take a moment to thank many of you here who I know have come out and helped me to volunteer and to help me reach out to voters. We're on the precipice of change here in LAUSD, but we need the political will to stand up and do it. I've got that political will, and I'm proud to say that I've got the endorsement of Councilmember Bill Rosendahl. I've got the endorsement of the Pacific Palisades Democratic Club. I've got the endorsement of Assemblymember Holly Mitchell, and I would be honored to have your endorsement. Thank you.